Hello everyone. In this video we are going to learn the basics of Python with a smart upgrade. We are going to use the ChatGPT to help us understand, write and debug Python code faster. If you have ever struggled to learn programming, this approach will change how you think about the code. Now, to be able to continue with me, you have to have Python installed, Visual Studio Code installed, and ChatGPT open. So I'm not going to go to the details. You can just search on Google for Visual Studio Code. It is pretty straightforward. Download it and install it. So first I'm going to start with the variables. So if you haven't heard variable before, in programming, variable is a name that stores a value in a program. It's like a box that holds something. So in Python, to create a variable, all we have to do is we're just going to write the name of the variable. So let's say we are creating item variable. So after putting the name, we are just going to put the assignment statement, which is equal. If you are writing something string, inside the quotes, double quotes or single quotes, you can write it like this. Now with this, we have created a variable in which we have a banana. Now the other way of creating the variable can be like this. So if I just go ahead and put over here, instead of lowercase with uppercase item, this is going to be the separate variable. Now if I just go ahead and copy this and put over here like this, so if you want to put two words in the variable name, for example in this case orange, you have to put the underscore between them. So in Python the variable names are case sensitive, so this means that item and this item are completely variables, and if your variable has more than one word, you can use the underscore between them, and this is called snake case, and this is the standard for Python. Now if you want to know about variable naming rules, you can just go ahead and open the ChatGPT. For example, here I'm just going to ask what are good variable naming rules in Python. So if you put it like this, you will see that it's going to provide you a lot of information. So this means that you can write the same command and check in the ChatGPT how you can put the variable name for your variables in Python. So that's the best way of using the AI when you are learning the programming. So you don't need to memorize everything. You can just go ahead and put the command and check the results. So if we create our variables, what we can do with this variable? Of course, we can just go ahead and print them in the terminal. So for this, we are going to use the print function. So all I have to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put print over here. For example, I'm going to print the first variable and run this. You will see that banana is printed to the console like this. Now, if you want to put, for example, another string with this item, so let's say I want to put hello over here, all I have to do is inside print statement, I can just go ahead and put hello inside the quotes. Then we need to put the plus sign between them, then run our code. You will see that in this case it says hello banana, so we have not provided over here space after hello. Now if I put it like this, you will see that it's returning hello banana. Now instead of item, if I put over here, for example 2025 hello like this and run our code, you will see that in this case we have error over here. So this means that this is a type error and we can only concatenate string to string. So this is integer and this is string. Now you might be interested, what is integer, what is string? So I'm going to explain the data types in a few seconds, but before continuing further, what we can do is we can just go ahead and copy this part and paste in the ChatGPT, because as I mentioned, in this course we are going to use the AI heavily for our learning. So that's why I'm just going to put over here saying that what does this error mean, and I'm just going to pass the error like this. You'll see that it's going to say the explanation like this. The error means that you are trying to add a string to the integer, which is not allowed in Python. So here this is one is a string and this one is the integer and this is the error type. So it's going to provide you the explanation and it's going to provide you the solution. So as you can see, we have str before the 2025 over here. Then if you put it like this, it's going to print out the correct format. Now it has provided other options also, so I'm not going to go to the details of these options. Now we can just go back to the code and I'm going to show you the reason behind it. Now in Python, when we create a variable, we need to have a types for this variable. First we have created item, in which we have a string, because double quotes shows that this is string. Now if you want to create a number, for example, say that x is equal to 1, in this case this is integer, because as you can see we don't have any quotes over here. Now another type in Python is boolean, which is going to be true or false. So we are using this one in the conditions that I'm going to show you. For example, if I put over here is happy variable and I can put true and we can put false, so take into account that the first letter has to be in uppercase. So this is going to be the boolean type. Now these are the three main types that we have in Python, but We have other collection types as well, which is going to be the list, tuple, dictionary, and set. Now, before going to that, to be able to create the list, we can just go ahead and put it like this. So it's going to be fruits. For example, if I want to create the fruits list, we are going to put the square brackets, then I'm going to put, for example, apple, then I'm just going to put the orange, like this. So we can have more than one element over here. So this is another type. So of course we have other types also. I'm going to show you this one also. But here, before continuing further, let's fix this error. As ChatGPT offered us, we can put over here str. So str means that it's converting this integer to the string. So this is called type conversion. Type conversion means that changing a value from one type to another, like turning string into the number. Now, if I rerun our code, you will see that in this case, it's working without any issue. So you can use various methods for type conversion. So I'm going to go back to the ChatGPT. Here we can just go ahead and say that provide type conversion functions in Python. Now, if I put like this, you will see that in this case, it's going to provide the list of the type conversions. Now we have used the str. str is this one for string. It converts to, so integer converts to the integer, float converts to floating, boolean converts to boolean, list, and it continues like this. So as you can see, we have a bunch of lists over here. So one more time, you don't need to remember them. You can just use the ChatGPT to ask it, but all you have to do is that there is a type conversion over here. Now I'm just going to go back to the data types that we have created. So we have created the fruits. Now if you want to know, for example, the difference between a list and a string, for example, that I've created over here, it's obvious that in the list we have more than one element. In the string we have only one element. Of course, we can go ahead and put something with the space over here. Now it's a good time to go back to the ChatGPT, ask, for example, what is difference between Python list and string? If you write something like this, you will see that it's going to give you the main differences between them. So list is a collection of items and string is a collection of characters. So you can change the list items, but you cannot change the characters in the string. So the syntax is like this. You see that we have a square brackets at the beginning and at the end. And in case of the string, we have only quotes, double quotes or single quotes. So any type can be over here, but in the string, we have only string types. And it continues like this, and you can check this list also. But here, all you have to know is that list is the collection type and the string is a sequence of characters. So the next thing that I want to show you here is the math operation. So in Python, math operators let you perform calculation on variables. Let's say we have a variable a, which is 10, and we have a variable b, which is 5. Now, to be able to perform math operation on them, we can just use this one. So for example, I want to calculate a plus b. So we can use the plus sign for addition, so it's going to return 15. Now if I want to subtract them, you can use the minus sign, so this is our pretty straightforward. Now for example, for multiplication, we can use the star. For division, we can use this operator, and we have power also, so we can just put over here, for example, 10 to the power of 5. It's going to be a double star like this. Now if I run this, you will see that it's going to calculate everything correct. Now, how can we use the ChatGPT for math operations? So you don't need to memorize all these operations that I've shown you over here. All you have to do is you just need to check in the ChatGPT by writing something like this. Show me all math operators in Python with examples. As you can see, it's going to show you very detailed explanation with the examples. So I provided only the sum of them. You see that it provided floor division also, and the modulus operator also, and it shows you with the example and explains you in the details. And it even asks you that if you want to go to the details or not. So that's how the math operators works in Python. Now the next thing that I want to show you is the if-else conditions. So if-else lets your program make decisions based on the condition, kind of like of asking is it true or false. So I'm just going to delete this very quickly, so we don't need actually these variables also, so let's just delete them. So here, let's say we have a age variable which is 28. So we are going to check that if age is greater than 21, we are going to say that you are old. If age is equal to 18, you are getting old, and if it is less than 18, we are just going to say that you are still young. So how can we do that? For this, we can use the if operator. So it's going to be like this. If age is greater than 21. In this case, all we have to do is we are just going to say print statement saying that you are old. Then if condition we have, if is equal to, so equal sign is going to be double equal, because if you put only one equal, it's going to be the assignment statement. Then we are just going to put over here, you are getting old. Of course, this is not reflects the reality. I'm just putting it as a statement. Then we have else statement over here. We are just going to put the print, you are still young. As you can see, based on this age variable, we are checking the conditions. Now, if I run this, you'll see that it says that you are old. Now, if I change the variable to, for example, 10 and run our code, you will see that it says that you are still young. So, as I mentioned before, this is working based on the condition, true or false. Now, as you remember, we have created before Boolean variable, which is happy. So, I'm just going to put it like this. So, we can check this one also. For example, we can just put over here, if is happy, so we don't need to put any comparison operator over here. We are just going to print out saying that you are happy. Else condition, we are just going to put saying that you are not happy. So that's how the if else condition works. So if I run this, you'll see that it says that you are happy after printing this one. Now, if you don't understand this if condition, you can just copy this code, come back to the ChatGPT, and all you have to do is you just need to put over here saying that, for example, can you explain this logic in plain English? And put the logic like this. And if I run this, you'll see that it's going to explain everything in the plain English. So we have created a variable with the age of 10. So you are saying the person's age is 10. Then check if the person is older than 21. You see that 10 is not greater than the 21. So it's going to continue to the next condition. In the next condition, it checks that if 10 is equal to 18, we see that it's not. So it's going to skip this one also. Then it comes over here saying that neither of above is true. So this means that this is going to be true. So it's returning you are still young. So as you can see, ChatGPT explains it very well and in detail. Now the next thing that I want to show you over here is for loop. A for loop lets you repeat a code a certain number of times or go through items in a list. The simple loop is going to be look like this. So I'm just going to delete this. Then we can write for, then we will provide variable over here. You can put whatever you want as a name. I'm going to put the I. Then we are going to use the range function. So range function means that it's going to be from 0 to until the number that we have provided over here. So I'm just going to provide this. Then we can just put over here, for example, print I. Or you can put any string before the print. So let's just put hello, then we can put comma, then we can put over here I. Now if I just go ahead and run this code, you will see that it's going to run it 3 times because we have provided over here 3, but it starts from 0, 1, and 2. Now this is the one way of writing the loop, or we can write the for loop by looping through the list that we have created. So let's say I have a list like this. So we have said that to be able to create the list, we just need to put the square brackets. Then I'm just going to put, for example, names. So it's going to be Renat. Then I'll have my name over here. Then we can just go ahead and write the for like this. For variable, so we can put over here name. So you can put whatever you want. So this variable name does not matter in the loop. You just need to put something meaningful. Then we are going to put the names, which is the list. Then we can just go ahead and put over here name, printing. So I'm just going to comment out this part, then save and run our code. You will see that it's printing these names. Now the question is how AI can help us to understand this. So I'm just going to head over to the ChatGPT. So here we can just go ahead and write a command like this. So write a Python loop that prints even number from 1 to 10. So if I just hit enter, you will see that it's going to generate the code. So the code is like this. Then we have the explanation over here. It says that the range goes from 1 to 10, and this is exclusive, that 11 is not included. Then this condition checks if the number is even or not. So we are dividing the number by 2. If the remainder is equal to 0, it means that this is even. Or if it is not 0, it means that it cannot be divided by 2. So this is going to be odd number. So what I'm going to do, I'll just copy this code. Then I'll come back to the Visual Studio Code. So here I will comment out this part. Then I'll just go down and past and save our code and run our code. You will see that it's printing out the even numbers from 1 to 10. So if I just go ahead and put over here, for example, 100 and run our code, you will see that printing all even numbers from 1 to 100. So that's how the for loop works. Now, when it comes to the loops, we have another loop which is going to be the while loop. A while loop keeps running as long as the condition is true. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a variable over here, which is going to be I. Then I'm just going to put the condition like this: while I is less than 5, then in this case, we are just going to print I. Then we just need to increase I by 1. Otherwise, this loop will run infinitely because it's not going to reach to 5. So each iteration, we just need to increase the I by 1. So as you can see, it starts from 0, it continues until 4, because when it reaches 5, it is just stopping executing the loop. Now we can just go ahead and copy this and put it in the ChatGPT and say that explain this code in details, and put it like this. You will see that it's going to give you the very detailed explanation step by step. So here it says that first we are creating a variable named I and assigning 0 value to it. Then there's a while loop. It means keep doing the code inside the loop as long as I is less than 5. So at the beginning I is 0, which is less than 5. So the loop starts, then printing out the I to the console, then increasing I by 1. So as you can see, it says that this code can be written like this, which is the increased I by 1, and it continues like this. So you can go ahead and read the explanation over here. So what I'm going to do, I'll just write another while loop over here, which is going to be really interesting. So you can write the while loop where you can get the input from the user. So it's going to be like this: while true. So this is going to be infinite loop. So based on the user input, we can just stop the while loop or not. So I'm just going to put over here like this: input is equal to, then we are going to use the input function, which is going to ask from user to enter something. So you can put as a prompt anything that you want over here, but it's going to wait until the user enters something. Then after this, it's going to check that if user input, for example, let's say is equal to 0, so the input that we are getting is going to be the string. So that's why I'm just going to put over here the 0 as a string. Then we are just going to print out saying that we are done here. Then to be able to come out from the loop, we are just going to use the break. Now if I just go ahead and run this, you will see that it says that enter something. So if I put 1, it's going to ask enter something, 2, enter something, test, enter something. So this loop is executing infinitely and waiting every time to add something from the console. Now if I hit 0 and enter, you see that it says that we are done here. So actually it has to be done and it is finished. Now if you don't understand this code, one more time, I highly recommend you to go and check it from the ChatGPT. So this is the best way of learning the programming with AI, because whatever is something is not clear to you, then you can just copy the code and put it in the ChatGPT and it's going to give you very detailed explanation. Now from here, I'm going to continue to the next concept. The next concept is functions. So what is function in Python? Functions let you group the code together and reuse it. So these are just mini programs inside your program. So I'm just going to delete this. So the function can be created using def keyword. So this is a must in Python. So if you want to create a function, you just need to use def keyword. Then you just need to provide the name of the function. So let's say I'm just going to put say hello. Then if your function does not have any parameter, you just put empty brackets over here. If you have, you just need to provide the parameter. So I'm just going to put name, so you can put whatever you want. So then what I'm going to do, I'll just go ahead and print saying that hello, then I will put the name. So comma, then I'll put name. So whatever name you put over here is going to print out saying that hello, for example, Elshad. Now if I just go ahead and run this, you'll see that nothing happens because we have not called the function. So to be able to execute the function, all we have to do is you just need to put the function name, then if it is requiring the parameter. So as a parameter, I'm just going to put over here, for example, Elshad. Now if I run this, you will see that it's printing out hello Elshad to the console. Now that's how this very simple function works in Python. One more time, you can copy this code and put it in the AI and ask how this is working, or we can just go ahead and ask something interesting. So I'm just going to put over here writing that, can you help me to write a function that calculates a discount? Can you help me to write a function that calculates a discount? Now if I write something like this, you'll see that it's going to generate a function which is calculating the discount. So there's explanation also over here and it's giving the example usage. Then we have other bonus section over here. You can just go ahead and read this. So I'm just going to go back to our code. So here, what I'm going to do, I'll just pass this code. Then we are just going to calculate the discount. So if I just run the calculate discount, for example, the price is 100 and I want to give the 10% discount. Now, to be able to see the result, if I run this, you will see that nothing happens in the console because this is returning the final price, but the final price is not printed to the console. So we can put it inside the print statement, this function, the call, like this. It's going to print out the final price. Or we can just put it like this. So I'm just going to delete the print statement. So let's say we are going to create over here variable final price is equal to this one. Then this function will calculate the final price and return it and save it inside this final price variable. Then we are just going to go ahead and print out final price. Now take into account that this final price is different than this final price. So this is inside the function, but this is the global variable which is outside of the function. This means that you cannot access this variable outside of the function, but for this variable you can access it from outside of the function. Even their names are same. Now if it is confusing for you, you can rename this and put different name. Now I'm just going to run this. You'll see that the result is same. Now the next thing that I want to show you over here when we talk about the function is the pass keyword. Sometimes when you create a function, you don't know what to put inside the function. You know that you are going to have some function, but you don't know the logic inside the function. For these cases, you can just put, if you create a function like this, the Python code will raise error. So to ignore the errors, we're just going to put over here pass. So pass will not do anything. It's just going to say that there is a function, but it's not doing anything. So you can use the pass keyword. Now the last thing that I want to show you over here, which is very crucial, is try and except. So try and except lets your program handle the errors without crashing. So this means that if you put something wrong in the code, in this case, it's just going to raise error. So let's say we want to get the numbers from the console, but if someone puts the string, in this case, we can say that this is not a valid number. So to be able to do that, we are going to write the try and except like this. So it's going to be try, then colon. Then inside this block, we are just going to write, for example, something like this. I have a number variable. Then I'm going to get this number from the console. So to be able to do that, I'm going to use the input function, which is getting the number from the console. Now, to be able to check that if this is number or a string, we can go ahead and convert it to the integer like this. Now, if this is the number, then we are just going to print out saying that number plus, for example, 10. Now, as you can see, there's a red curly line over here. This means that the block is not complete, so we have to put over here the except as well, because for try we need to have except. So this means that if there is error inside this try, in this case the execution will continue over here and execute this part. So to be able to do that, for this part I'm just going to put that that's not a valid number. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and run this code. So it says that enter number. So if I put 10, the result is 20 because it's printing out this one. Now if I run this, for example, instead of number, if I put Elshad and run this, you see that this says that this is not a valid number. So you can just copy this code and paste it in AI one more time and say that, explain this in details, and it's going to give you a very detailed explanation as we did before. So as you can see, it's explaining it line by line, and which is very good if you don't understand anything, and even if you can go ahead and ask the questions, which is like a live instructor. Now with this short video, you just learned the Python basics and with AI as your guide. Now instead of memorizing everything, now you need to know how to learn faster with AI, get help when stuck, and ask questions and build the confidence.